In this video, we are going to learn when to use microservice architecture and what is the best practices of microservice architectures. The first reason is make sure you have a really good reason for implementing microservices. Before starting with microservices, you should check if your application can do without microservices. When your application requires high level of independent scalability and requires agility to time to market with zero downtime deployments and updated independently that needs to more flexibility, then you should embrace the microservice architecture. But the idea is that you have to make sure you have a really good reason for implementing microservices. Developers tend to focus too much on the latest technology tools, for example microservices. Instead of that, developers and architects should consider the reasons why for implementation, and they should also focus on the result that the technology tools drive to achieve that results. Another reason is iterate with small changes and keep the single process monolithic as your default. When we talk about modular monolithic architecture, we saw that Sam Newman and Martin Fowler offers monolithic first approaches. Because modular monolithic architecture also covers a lot of benefits of microservices with avoiding lots of complexity of microservices. Because a single process monolithic application comes with a simple deployment topology. Sam Newman and Martin Fowler offers start with small changes and keep the single process monolithic as your default. They recommend that even they go to microservices, they should start with modular monolithic architecture and simply refactor with turning a single module from the monolithic into the microservices one by one and see how it works. That is what we are doing in this course. We start with simple monolithic architecture and extend modular approach, now moving to microservices. After all these things, if your application required to independently deploy new functionality with zero downtime, then microservices are extremely useful when organizations need to make a change to functionality and deploy that functionality without affecting the rest of the system. This is the power of the microservices, and it allows to deploy new functionality without any downtime. That means independent microservices, each service can be deployed and updated independently, providing more flexibility. An error in a microservices only has effect on one specific service that doesn't affect the entire application. Also, adding new features to microservice application is easier than a monolithic application. Whether the application is very large or very small, adding new features and maintaining existing code is easy because it is sufficient to make changes only within relevant microservices. Another good reason is required to independently scale a portion of application. If your application required to independently scale a portion of the application, then microservices are excellent choice for this kind of operations and applications. That means it provides better scalability. Each service can be scaled independently. Therefore, the entire application doesn't need to be scaled. This saves a lot of time and money. Additionally, every monolithic application has limits in terms of the scalability. However, multiplexing a service with traffic on the microservices is less inconvenient and able to handle millions of requests the whole load. This is why most of the projects that appeal to large user bases have begun to adopt the microservices architecture at day one. Another good reason is required to data partitioning with different database technologies. If your application is required to data partitioning with different database technologies, then microservices are extremely useful when organizations need to store and scale data with different use cases. That means it provides technology diversity. Teams don't have to completely choose the technologies on which services will be developed. They can choose the appropriate technology for the microservices they will develop over time. For example, if a microservices can be developed with the Python programming language in order to use machine learning features, and another microservices could be developed on .NET. The desired technology or desired database can be used for each microservices. Another good reason is required to autonomous teams with organizational upgrade. If your company requires to autonomous teams with organizational upgrade, then microservices will help to evolve and upgrade your teams and organizations. Organizations need to distribute responsibility into the teams, where each team makes decisions and develops software autonomously. When teams need to work independently without close coordination, a microservice-based architecture provides that pushes this kind of autonomy within the organization. So these are the reasons when to use microservice architectures.